Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we got teased a new uh, exciting piece of information that's coming up, and I'd like to share it with you. This is on their Facebook page, and they show what appears to be a legendary champion being able to be fused, and at the end of this video it says coming soon. In the post itself, it says something along the lines of some holidays and care to guess what it could be, and a lot of guesses revolve around something called Oktoberfest, which when I googled it occurs this upcoming Saturday is when it starts, which just so happens to be when this event ends. And so there may be a new fusion champion coming this Saturday, along with hopefully some events that give you the champions required for the fusion, which would make sense why this event ends in 3 days. But before we ran into this new fusion champion, I wanted to kind of go through some good ways to prepare for this as much as we can, especially relating to, I guess, when Foley was around, and now that Rosin is here to stay until you fuse them for the first time, that is. But this will most likely, in my opinion, be a limited time fusion champion, so it's best to be prepared as much as possible. And the first thing I want to go over are the potion requirements. Now, usually for a legendary fusion, you need 4 epic champions leveled up to 5-star level 50 and fully ascended to those 5 stars. And also you will need usually and you can see with Relic Keeper and Broadma, you need possibly more champions to fuse into. Say if this was legendary, these would be 4 epic champions, and these would be 3 or 4 rare champions that fuse into an epic champion. So you also need to get the rare champions that would be related to something like this. You would need rare champions to get an epic champion. So you would need rare champions to get to 4-star, 4 ascension, level 40. So it's a long process when we're talking about a legendary champion. And firstly, we can go over the potion requirements. So as you can see here, I'm going to look over on this screen because this is kind of where the display is for me. In total, you will need 160 of the lesser potions, depending on what type of champions we need. This is for like the early levels for rare champions, 1-star and 2-star ascensions. You kind of need these lesser potions, as well as 80 of the arcane lesser potions, 144 greater potions. This is for 3-star and 4-star for rares, as well as 1, 2, and 3-star for epics, and 108 arcane potions. And last but not least, there are 24 superior potions. These are for 4-star and 5-star ascension for epic champions, as well as 12 arcane potions. And that can be quite a lot of potions to get. One thing to remember is you can mix potions here. You can mix your lessers into greaters, you can mix your greaters into superiors, but as you can see, the price for these can get out of hand pretty quickly. If you were trying to do a bunch of lessers into greaters, you can be really getting into about $500,000, not too bad, but say you were using my voids, getting those into superiors, you can get pretty hefty price pretty quickly. And that's really, in my opinion, where a lot of time goes into, because it takes a lot of time to get the potions required I'll put that graphic up one more time. That's a lot of potions all when you add it all together. And in order to get those, if you don't just have stuff saved up, you need to be worrying about the rotation for the keeps, which on a regular basis most people probably don't worry about these. And so once we figure out what champions are actually required for the fusion, you could probably narrow down what keeps you need to worry about. But if it's evenly distributed, you kind of just divide these numbers by 4, or maybe there you can expect less void, so divide by like 3.5, and like half of the numbers go, or 0.5 of the numbers go to, that's not really what I mean, 3.5 divided by 4, whatever that ratio is, and 0.5 divided by 4 would go to voids. Anyways, I'm rambling on about math that most people probably don't care about. Next, we can look at the leveling up of champions. So if you go back into the fusions, say you were to get in Relic Keeper's instance, you get War Maiden here. You start her off at 3-star level 1. So you need to first get her to 3-star level 30. And these guys are a bit better of instance to take, I guess, because all these guys are green. And so they start at level 1 at 2 stars. So first you need to get them to 2-star level 20. Then you rank them up to 3-star level 1 again and get them back up to level 30. Well, in Broadmaw's case, this is kind of what we have been getting for the more recent fusions. Relic Keeper was kind of in there first, and it seems like they maybe have updated this since then to require a rank up and level up beyond that. And so you can kind of look at this and think of this as legendary and all of these as epics and all of these as rares. You're going to start out at level 1, go to level 30, rank up. Now you're at 4 stars, level 1, go to 40, fuse, and then you'll have a 4-star epic level 1, which will then need to rank up to 40, and then level up to 40, rank up to 5-star, level 1 again, and then get to 50. And that you'll have 1 champion ready for, out of the 4, to fuse for a legendary. I can't show you my rosin right now because I've already fused him. So that requires a lot of energy and 12-6 grinding and or brews. And I have a few images here that I calculated. And this one right here is what it would take if you were to just grind 12-6 campaign. Get all of your, if you had all of the rare champions required to fuse into epics, and then those epics level up and get ready to fuse into the whatever the legendary champion is, this is the energy requirements just for those level ups and rank ups. This does not include the level up that you will have to do for these food if you do not already have them. But if you were to just do purely stage 12-6 for Brutal, you'd be spending 6,000 energy, and of course you would need these 48 3-star foods and 16 4-star foods in order to finish the fusion. Now, if you were to, say, go a different route and say you had a lot of brews just lying around doing nothing, you could do that, but you probably won't have as many brews as you need to just completely get away from campaign farming. As you can see here, it also takes 7,000 silver per brew in order to actually do the level up. And so I've calculated the costs here. If you were to do purely brews to level up all of the required champions for the fusion, you would need 864 of the various brews altogether, depending on what affinity there are. You do not also, I've only taken into account if you match the affinities. You can, of course, use brews that are of a different affinity, but it does not give as much XP, and these numbers do not reflect using different affinities, only if you use the same affinity as the champion is. So you need 864 brews. If you could somehow get the perfect amount and line up the affinities, that would net you a 6 million silver cost if you were to go this route. And you still need the food champions, 48 3 stars and 16 4 stars. Now this is a bit more out there, and definitely, well, most likely you won't have the brews in order to do that. So a realistic approach in my mind would be to combine the farming and the brews. And I found that, like, if we go back to the portal, you'll see you'll need 4 champions to fuse 1 champion. So if you need to fuse 4 epics and they each have 4 rares, that's a total of 16 rares. And since when you campaign farm, you take in 4 champions, which one of them is a farmer, you're only taking 3 food at a time. If you do that 5 times, you'll get to 15 food and have 1 left over. And so that 1 left over is where I started using brews. And so that's kind of the basis on my calculations for this more realistic approach. But in that instance, I calculated 4,000, roughly 300 energy campaign farming, and 111 of the various brews, whichever affinity you need. And that would make you use 777,000 silver just for the level ups on the brews. And of course, you still have this requirement for the foods when you are ranking up your required champions. And that's pretty much it for the requirements. It is a lot, but this is all kind of assuming that, see, with Foley, it was kind of a fusion like this, where in Foley's case, it was only 1 champion, and he could not be fused with anything. But in Roz and Scarhide's case, all 4 of these epic champions are fusible from rares. And so that's what my calculations are based off of, and that would kind of be the worst case resource-wise, is if you had to do all of these ascensions and leveling up as well as these ascensions and leveling up. So if there is 1 champion that isn't fusible, that's technically better for your resources. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder to get, but I gave you the worst case resource-wise on what we can stock up now. In my mind, if you don't already have a bunch of potions saved up, you should definitely be farming up these keeps to try to get more potions so you're ready for this fusion, assuming that we can get the required champions from events. If they go the same route as the Sakara fusion, where you get a fusion champion through tournaments and just the top place person gets that champion, it's going to be much harder, pretty much impossible for most people to complete this fusion. So hopefully we get the champions required through events. If we don't even get the champions given to us as rewards, it's going to be much harder to do the fusion in general. But assuming we get those champions through rewards, you want to get these potions. And if you don't have the food required that I showed earlier, 48 3 stars and 16 4 stars, then you'll obviously want to be doing some campaign farming with probably some double XP on it. One important note that I failed to mention earlier: these energy numbers from these methods that I got for farming were including a double XP active during campaign farming. I feel like most people would do that, especially if there was a champion training event going on. But if you're really in a rush, it's definitely needed to use double XP, and that's what I used in these numbers. If you were planning on not using a double XP, you can obviously double these energy numbers if you wanted to go one of these two routes. So, excuse me. Long story short, if you want to have the best chance at getting this new fusion champion when it does come out, you want to start stocking up on 4-star and 3-star food champions for the champions that you'll need to rank up, and you'll need to start stocking up on potions for the ascensions that are the hardest, or like the most resource intensive part of fusing. But if you can get all of the champions required for the fusion, usually a guaranteed legendary is better than no legendary at all. So we'll just have to wait to see exactly who this legendary is. I'll pull her up again. That's her picture. Looks like she may most likely be a dwarf, but we'll have to wait and find out. Hopefully come Saturday, we'll know who she is and what the requirements are to fuse her. If we don't find out on Saturday, we'll just have more time to save up our resources for this most likely limited time legendary fusion champion. And hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Hopefully it can be helpful in the future, not only for this legendary fusion, but future legendary fusion champions. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.